Well, that was an interesting experience. I just realized after recording about 30 minutes of video that I did not have my audio turned on. So we get to reshoot this whole thing. But anyway, today's subject, aliens. Do they exist? Are they real? Are they here? I don't know. Let's merge further into it. Um, but here's my view, and I'm just going to give you my opinion. And of course, let's do the legal statement. I'm not a professional, don't claim to be, and this is my opinion. Get that out of the way. Um, Aliens, do they exist? Personally, I think yes, sir. They do. And yes, I know, bad habit. But I personally think with all the space that's out there in our universe or multiverse, however you wish to see it, I personally look at it as a multiverse, again, my opinion. Um, Out of the billions and billions of light years that there are out there that we can see, if not, no, we can't travel it yet, but we can see some of it. Is there aliens, or what we would call aliens, some other life forms other than our own? And honestly, I think so. I believe there are some other sort of beings out there that exist. Let's think about it for a second. And I don't even know the exact number, so I'm not going to throw an exact number out there, but I'm going to say out of 10 billion planets, there's probably more than that, but we'll just use 10 billion to make my math easy. Out of all those planets out there, are we the only planet that's ever developed any kind of advanced life form? I don't think so. Doesn't make sense. Logically, it doesn't make sense. Numerically, it doesn't make sense. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. You know, now, if there is aliens out there, are they more advanced than us or less advanced than us? Or, and if so, by how much? We are limited by what we can see from our telescopes and our satellites and stuff like that. We have Voyager and stuff like that. But that is very limited. We are looking at a little bitty spot in the entire multiverse. It's kind of like looking at one grain of sand on a beach and saying nothing else exists. Doesn't make sense. Plus, let's admit, our government just released a bunch of files of what they call an UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomenon. We all know them as UFOs. Um, and there's a lot of stuff that they have no idea what it is. Could it be stuff from our own planet, other countries with experimental aircraft or whatever? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to discount that in the least. Every country has its secrets. It could even be our own, and just people don't know. You know, we have Skunk Works that comes up with all sorts of new aircraft, and could be one of theirs. I don't know. And that's the thing about this whole thing. Um, do I believe aliens exist? Yes. Do I believe they're in different developments than we are? Absolutely. And do they care about us? We are a very brutal planet. We fight amongst each other. We make weapons to wipe out our own world. And let's be honest, our little bit of spacefaring we have done out into space and a couple of satellites that have managed to get outside of our solar system, it really is nothing. Um, any society that is near us in development could see us as a threat. Because eventually, if we ever got our heads out of our asses long enough and decided to cooperate and not try to kill each other, we could make very large strides. I say that, you know, any advanced species who has gotten into spacefaring and even come by our planet and looked at it, they're going to look down and see a bunch of people that are trying to kill each other for land or resources or whatever, and be like, no, they don't need to be contacted at this time. Would we even know they went by? Possibly. I'm not going to say yay or nay because our technology is limited to what we know. They may be traveling in a different phase or whatever. Excuse me. And we might not be able to detect them. Or maybe they send a simple satellite like our Voyager that just went by a planet and took pictures. Would we know? Probably not. Because even if we did pick something up like that, something floating by in space, which probably happens more than we think, then we would look at it as probably space junk. So, are we alone? Absolutely not, in my opinion. There's been too many reports around the world of too many different things that don't make sense. And if you look at it, it's true. And I'm not just talking crop circles here or odd things that, could be explained away by common mathematics or science. I'm not looking at stuff like that. It's other things. You know, um, we've picked up stuff on radar. We've had our fighter jets pick our stuff on camera. Um, what are these? Could they be planetary? Absolutely. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying that there is a possibility that they could be extraterrestrial and they're coming to check out our planet. And I hate to say it, but it's probably not for the people. They're looking at our planet for our resources. Maybe they need gold or aluminum or who knows, pick an element. And they found our planet and say, oh, it's rich in these resources. Maybe we can go get it. To any advanced civilization, we're not worth even bothering with. They would come here and with any kind of advanced weaponry would very easily take over all the governments, whether it's through brute force or coercion or by other means, whatever means that may be, whether they could maybe assume human forms of some sort. I don't know. So it's just something to think about. I have done a lot of research on this, and I am left with far more questions than answers. You know, Even other countries have now admitted they have what they call a UAP or UFO program. Um, because we see things in the sky that we can't explain. You know, if you know anything about jets and G forces, our pilots can take maybe 9 Gs for a few seconds. But these ships that they see, are making these 90-degree turns at thousands of miles an hour. You're talking 300 Gs at that point, which would obviously kill a human body. No, you can't make a right turn at 9,000 miles an hour. It doesn't work, at least in our physics, unless you manage to manipulate some sort of field or dampening technology. Um, and there are hotspots around the world, you know, Mount Hayes being one of the big ones, and then over by Stonehenge is another big one. Our American Southwest is a good one, and stuff like that. There are hotspots, and I believe it is our whole idea of things coming from outer space began um, probably before Roswell, but didn't get made public before then. Um, and when they tried to say Roswell was a weather balloon, I think we all knew better. It was something. What it was, no idea. I don't have that kind of clearance. Was there survivors? I have no idea. But I believe there was something there. What it was, we probably will never know. Our government hides a lot of stuff from us, which actually should be made public. It is, up to the American people to make up their own mind. And people from other countries, I'm in America, so I'm speaking for my country. People to open their mind to the possibility of, could there be some sort of alien life that has come to this planet? Honestly, yeah, I think there could be. Do you think they care about us as a human species? No, I don't. They care about our planet as a resource for what they need. We are not advanced enough to really put up any real fight against them. Even with all of our technologies, even our most powerful weapons are nuclear weapons that not only will destroy the target, but also destroy a lot of other life. These are not efficient weapons. These are brutal weapons designed to cause death on a mass scale. I've often pondered the thought of what would happen if all the nuclear weapons in the world disappeared at once. Besides, we would have some very scared governments, but right now it seems that our world is being run by who has the most guns, who has the most weapons. And that is not a way to run the world. It should be, how can we cooperate with each other to advance all people? That's just my view. I mean, others may have different views, and I welcome that you share them. I have no problem, reading other views or hearing about them. So if you think no aliens don't exist, please put it in the comments. I'm not going to be mad. I'm not going to be upset. That's what this channel is all about. It's our channel to discuss things that may seem a little different. With aliens, yeah, I think they exist. I think there are aliens far more advanced than us that even if they know we exist, or we're like, we're nothing, they just can just ignore us and we're not going to do anything about it. And I think there are some planets out there that have microbial life on them. Now, what we think of as life, which is basically our own carbon-based life form, m- probably isn't the only life form out there. It could be based on some other element. Silicon, hydrogen, helium, who knows? I don't know. Um, but yeah, I definitely believe there's other life forms out there. Now, will we see them in our next 100 years? Probably not, or at least openly no. They may come and check on us and it's like, yep, you're still trying to kill each other. Let's move on. Um, because we are, God, we're cavemen. We still fight over pretty rock, and that is kind of scary. Now, if some other species out there has managed to figure out not only how to become a peaceful race and a spacefaring race, but an advanced spacefaring race, what would we look like? We've barely left our own planet. And you could have craft, ships, whatever you want to call them, that are traveling light years upon light years. Maybe they figured out how to defy physics and travel faster at the speed of light. Or maybe they figured out how to warp space time and use that concept. I don't know. Again, the more you learn about this, the more questions you will get. But is it possible? Absolutely. It is possible. And that way, by thinking like that, you know, stop thinking as individuals and thinking of as a community. And I think it's only when we start thinking as the human race instead of this country or this tribe or that tribe or this race or that race, that's the only time we're finally going to make real progress. We think we're making progress. Well, I mean, we're now into quantum computing and stuff like that. Yeah, we're edging there very slowly. But imagine if we could get, say, the top 100 scientists from around the world. Didn't matter what country you're from. Top 100 scientists and work on a project, get us back into space, make the moon livable. I bet you could do it in a matter of 10, 15 years if we all work together. But fighting each other, we will never do it. You know, is there a great galactic council out there? Beats me. I want to think there is a big council that, okay, we may be of this species and you're of that species and you're of that species, but we can all get along. Okay, you have resources we want, we have resources you want. Let's do some trading. And I would like to think there is something like that out there. Whether there is, I will never know in my lifetime anyway. But there are too many unexplained things that even to this day scientists cannot explain that's happened even here on Earth. Strange aerial objects, weird time shifts, weird memories that people are having. Are some of these alien abductions true? Probably to a point. You know, are there programs out there that world governments are working together on? I'd be willing to bet on it. What they are, I don't know. Who's involved, I don't know. Way above my pay scale. But let's see. I would like to have an open book on all the UAPs or UFOs that they have seen and see the videos of them because let's admit, our planes with our current technology, we are limited on what we can do. So we can go a few times the speed of sound. All right, fine. That's acceptable. But we are nowhere near the speed of light. I think CERN has come closest like 0.998, something like that. I can't remember the exact percentage of light, but we can't seem to break that. Um, do I think CERN is doing some good work? Absolutely. Do I think some of their work is dangerous? Absolutely. Do I think they could cause things that we don't want to deal with? Absolutely. Um, but making progress can sometimes be dangerous. You know, Unfortunately, we have used our knowledge to destroy each other, not build each other. We have used our technology to make atomic bombs, and look what happened to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. How many people died in those two bombs? I mean, did it bring an end to the war? Yes. Is that a good thing? Yes. But was it achieved properly? No. Um, I consider myself to be pretty much an independent. Um, I look at the issues, not the people, as far as my political views. Um, there are some things on both sides I agree with, and some things on both sides I disagree with. And I kind of think that's the mind of the American people. Um, and do I think both political parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, have gone off their rockers and went into the deep end of the pool? Absolutely. Um, but that's just kind of how our American system is right now. Um, I believe there's a lot of dirty dealings going on, covering a lot of stuff up that we see. There's a few shows out there like what was that one? Skinwalker Ranch was one of them. Is it a possibility something could be happening there? Maybe. Could it all be for a good show? Maybe. I don't know. Were they actually detecting something? I don't know. We all know that everything is edited these days. I try not to edit my videos, but it does happen once in a while. My chair breaks and I fall on my own or something. Um, but I just want people to think about this. Open your mind up to the possibility. Aliens, maybe. More than likely, the number is going to make sense. I can't remember who the original quote was, or even the original quote, but it was something like, "We are either totally alone in our universe, or we're not equally as both. Both are equally frightening." I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something along that line. Um, so I mean, out of all the things that have happened, since the beginning of this particular universe, and personally, I like to think of it as, like I said, as a multiverse. We're not the only universe out there. There's millions upon millions, billions upon billions of universes. And maybe sometimes they do interact. It could be a possibility. You know, maybe that could be where time slips come in. I don't know. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'm not a scientist. I don't study this for a living. It's just one of the thoughts that I have had run through my mind. And I just wanted to put something up that kind of shows how open this channel is. Whether you agree with what I say or disagree with what I say, you know what? That's 100% fine. I'm not going to scream and holler. I'm not going to preach. Whatever your beliefs are right for you. That's how I think of it. You know, all I ask is open your mind. Think about it. Think of the possibilities. And by doing that, I think our world would be better off. I don't care what your race is, what your religion is, how old you are, what country you're from. I really don't care. Although I do ask in the comments, please write them in English or translate them to English if you would. That is the only language I speak. So, um, you know, feel free to, make remarks on this, what you think about it. If you think governments are covering things up, or if you think they're being totally honest and telling us everything. Whatever your opinion is, that's your opinion. You're right to have that. I would never say you're right or you're wrong because I don't have the answer. And that's the whole thing. We may not have the answers, but we have the questions. And by putting our minds together on channels like this one, we can discuss it, we can talk about it. And as soon as I get the chat feature figured out on here, I'm still learning, we can do live chats. I would enjoy it very much so. Um, you know, whether this channel is going to take off, I have no idea. But aliens, a good subject to kind of make people realize that guess what? There's no limits on this channel, within reason, of course. Nothing illegal or stuff like that, violent. We try not to discuss that stuff. But overall, there's really no limits to this channel and what you would like to talk about. I welcome comments. In fact, I ask for them. Say you want to talk about government conspiracies, put it in the chat. We'll talk about it. Yeah, I do think there's a lot of that going on. But anyway, uh, maybe you want to talk about why is the grass green? Why is the sky blue? Okay, let's talk about it. And that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. I want this to be our channel, to be shared. I'm not looking to make money off of it. Anybody who's seen my last video will see that if it ever does monetize, which I'll be honest, is probably extremely, extremely slim that it'll ever monetize, um, any profits would be donated to charity. Um, I just want to open people's minds. That's the whole goal of these videos. Open your mind up and, just say, is it possible? Is it possible there are aliens? Yes. In my opinion, absolutely. Is it possible they're more advanced than us? Yeah, chances are pretty good, actually, on that one, if they do exist. Have they been to this planet? Are they on this planet? Have they made a deal with some country that they've got super secret bases that they're teaching us alien technology in exchange for something that we have? Is that possible? Yes. Is it there? I don't know. And that's the whole thing. In my opinion, one of the most powerful things you can say is, I don't know, but let me find out. And by just being able to say, no, I don't know. Let me go look that up. No, we have the internet. We have all the resources that provides. I am one that I like to go on the MUFON network, which is the Mutual UFO Network, and I read some of the stuff there and watch some of the videos there. Is it all real? I don't know. Are there frauds out there? Most definitely. Somebody trying to make a quick buck? You can bet your head on that one. But that's just one of my sources of information that I get. I would love to have one of the big name people from the UFO community sit down with me and have an interview. But that's probably a ways away. Our channel isn't big enough to have anything like that. Um, although one of the things that I always say is, if anyone is willing to have an open debate, not an argument, an open debate on something, I welcome it. Maybe you can teach me something that I don't know. Maybe I can teach you something that you don't know. But it's only by having an open mind you can do that. I'm never going to say I'm totally right. I'm never going to say I'm totally wrong. More than likely, if you hear me, I'm going to say, that's an interesting point. I never thought of it that way. And that's what we all need to do. Whether it's about aliens or government conspiracies or, Windows trying to take over the world, which we get the idea there. We just need to have an open mind to say, okay, it is a possibility. And that's what I want. So anyone out there that watches this video, I know I'm getting kind of long-winded here. I been trying to cut them back a little bit, but please make comments. Suggest topics. Honestly, I don't care what the topics are. As long as they don't engage in violence or anything illegal, because we will not promote that on this channel. And your comments are kept, you know, decent. No foul language, no threats, etc. Let's talk about it. That is this channel. Please share it. You know, let me earn your subscription on this channel. I'm not asking you hit the like button or hit the subscription button or do this or do that or notifications. Honestly, I don't even know how to put them things up on my screen yet. But, let me earn your subscription. If you want to subscribe, fantastic. I will welcome you with open arms. If you want to make comments, please. I'm probably one of the most open-minded YouTube channels you'll find out there. Unfortunately, being American, I was raised speaking only English. So I will do my best if you translate something into English in a comment or something. I will do my best to figure it out, what your meaning is. And, if I see a comment that says something I'm not quite sure of, I'm going to call that person out in comments and said, I'm not sure what you mean by the comment of blah, blah, blah. Could you please explain it more? Um, uh, yeah, well, let's be honest. How many YouTube channels can you go in their comments and they welcome you to disagree with them? Whether like your comment would taken down. Me, I'm like, okay, put your comment down. I just want to open the mind of everyone out there and think beyond the little box that we were raised to live in. Think outside that box. Stop thinking of ourselves as individual humans and think of ourselves as a species that, let's be honest, if we don't get our butts straightened out pretty soon, that we may not exist. And it's kind of a scary thought, but we have enough weapons in this world to destroy this planet multiple times over. And that's scary. And I never want to see that. If it were up to me, I'd be like, I want world peace, hunger problem solved, you know, education problem solved, housing problem solved worldwide. And let's be honest, this planet makes more than enough food for everybody on this planet to eat. So it's not that we don't make enough food, it's the whole distribution network on that. If we could figure out how to distribute it better, yes, we would have far less hungry people on the planet. And I'll be honest, I don't care what country you're from. You know, we would have far less homeless people. Okay, if you want a job, help us build the home you're going to live in. What's that program called? Habitat for Humanity. That's the one here in the United States, anyway. Where you put work in on the house you're going to live in. I think it's a wonderful idea. Uh, um, our past presidents have supported this, and I think it's fantastic. Do we have room to do that? Absolutely. We have plenty of room. But the bad part is you're going to have to step on some really big corporate toes to do it. And there lies the problem. Because right now, this country, like I said, I'm speaking of my own country for right now, runs on money. It's all about the money. How can the rich get richer and the poor stay poor and become slaves? That's my honest opinion. In this country, you don't follow the politics, you follow the money. And that's how you find out the truth. Where's the money going? I'm assuming it's pretty much the same thing in other countries. Um, we're not unique in that way. Um, it's all about money. And that's the problem we have right now. The rich get richer, you get more tax breaks, so they can make even more money, so they can get more tax breaks and make even more money. And you have, I don't know how many people in this country now that have more money than they could ever spend. I mean, they could literally spend $1 million a day and never go broke. Then you have people in this country who have absolutely nothing. They're living in a patch of wood somewhere with a leaky tent and a tarp. And that's the difference between the rich and the poor. The rich don't care about the poor. And that's the bad part. There's very few humanitarian wealthy people. They may say so, may put up a little show, "Oh, look, I did this or I did that," or whatever. Well, in this country, whenever they do something like that, it's a tax write-off. Okay, now if you really wanna do something, take the money out of your own pocket, not your corporate pocket, your own pocket, and build a homeless complex for 1,000 people and not take the tax breaks. It'll never happen. Um, I think this country is in serious trouble. I think politics today is, well, off the rails on both sides. I think violence is ticking up, and at some point, it's gonna hit a point of no return. You know, I hate to say it, and I really do hate to say it because I hate to see any human life get taken, but it's gonna come down to war again, and that's a horrible thing in my opinion. I figured out how to solve wars years ago, but nobody thinks it makes sense to them. Okay, country A and country B want to go to war and figure out what they're doing. They want to go and fight and kill each other. No, let's leave all the troops out of it. You take the leader of country A and the leader of country B, you put them in a cage match together. Whoever wins, wins. Problem solved. Um, Good way to solve it. Save thousands, if not millions, of lives every year. But, it's just kind of it's the way it is right now. And I'm actually quite sad about that. You know, would I like to have millions and millions of dollars to help out? Yes, absolutely, I would. And here's the funny thing, how everybody dreams about winning the lottery or, especially in some of the big pots, getting up towards $1 billion that they're, today. So you still take away 600 million. I think I could rough it on that a little bit. Um, but how many of those winners actually help people with that money? How many of those winners actually invested that money to make money for themselves, to make that money work for them? I've seen multiple lottery winners that they've won 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, upwards of several $100 million, and within a few years, they're filing bankruptcy. You know, honestly, I've planned it out. If I ever say $100 million, if I ever won it, and that was my take home, 100 million, yeah, I would probably take a million or two and to go out and enjoy myself, go see everything I've wanted to see. Um, would I buy me a home? Yes, but not a mansion either. Personally, I've got a dream home. It's like a three-bedroom, two-bath setting on about 1,000 acres of land with signs that basically say, "Leave me alone." That's my dream. I don't need multi-million-dollar homes with hundreds of thousands of square feet and, the swimming pool overlooking the ocean. I don't want that. Give me a nice chunk of land where I can just enjoy myself. Personally, I want to plant fruit trees, berries, have honeybees, stuff like that. To me, that's the millionaire lifestyle. Is it expensive? Probably not. And here's the thing, if I had land like that and I was growing food, say apples and pears and peaches and whatever happened to be growing in the region I decided to settle down in, I would take what I need for myself, do some canning, have some stuff on shores, then I'd open it up to the community. Please help yourselves. Take what you need, you know, every year. Okay. Say I take 10% of it for myself, which that'd be that big. That means I'm giving 90% to the surrounding community. Come pick it. It's yours. No charge, no nothing. And that's, to me, that's the way I'd like to live. You know, buy me a basic pickup truck. I'm happy. Yeah, probably a four-wheel drive, but still, I'd be happy. You know, I don't need a new Learjet. I don't need a 12 cars in the garage. I can only drive one at a time. I don't need to wear brand name everything. I'll be honest, I have a friend of mine who is a multi-millionaire many, many times over. And you would never know it. He wears jeans, t-shirt, tennis shoes, and drives a 10-year-old truck. You would never know how much money that man has. To me, that to me is the millionaire lifestyle because I can take some of that money and help others with it. You know, help others with no return expected at all. Like my fruit trees, I take a little bit for myself, open it up, pick it, it's yours. Now, if more people would think like that, even on a small scale, these little community gardens, you know, take what you need, and donate some. I'm not saying you have to donate all. Okay, you're gonna make a few dollars off your garden, that's fine. You know, keep your prices reasonable so those that actually need it can afford it. There's one down the road, I have to give them a lot of credit. They're down for me every year. A lot of credit. I guarantee they're making no money on it. It's the prices are ridiculously low. And it's like a dollar or two for something. That's it. And it's a very good deal. I give them all the credit in the world. Bless those people. You know, we need to live at peace with that because, yes, there are homeless people everywhere. In almost every major city, I can guarantee I'll find homeless people. And a lot of small towns that people don't even realize they're there. I know people that blend into society that so well that you would never know they're homeless. I actually have a friend of mine, he lives out of his van and has for about 4 years now. Has a full-time job, goes to work every day, 5 days a week, works in a factory, but lives out of his van because rent is, well, ridiculous. You know, who do we blame for it? I think it's a lot of people. People try to blame one person or another. No, it's a lot of people. You know, if more people would think, okay, I have everything I need. I'm good. I'm at peace with myself. I'm not going to suffer. Now I have surplus. Can I help others? And if more people did that, the world would be so much nicer. Are there charities out there that try to do that? Yes. There's not enough of them to cover the need by far. You know, considering I'm going to say the average rent in the United States is probably getting close to $2,000 a month. Yeah, you can find some units below them and a lot of units above that. That just guessing, average is probably 2,000 a month, and much more in bigger cities. So hopefully, at some point, people will realize that it's the how shall I put it? This it's not money that's killing us. It's the, I guess you could call it the lust of money. Money itself is like a hammer. Okay, I need to put a nail in, I hit it with a hammer. I need to buy some food, I pay with a dollar. It's a tool, simply. And once you realize money is just a tool, it's not a status symbol. I'll be honest, I don't give a doggy do what my neighbors think. Am I polite to them? Absolutely. I ask how they're doing. I have a elderly couple that lives next door. Every so often I'll check in with them and see if they need anything. Maybe I can help out a little bit. You know, I have a handicapped lady that lives down the road. I go and check with her. Can I get you something, Elaine? Do I have to? No. But I'm going into town anyway. Say she needs a gallon of milk. Sure, I'll bring her back a gallon of milk or whatever the case may be. It's not out of my way. I'm going there anyway. You know, people need to be kinder to each other. I remember growing up. I grew up in a very, 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 very small town. Um, I'm going to guess the population there when I was growing up was probably under 1,000 people. So very small. And people waved at each other. You know, say you pulled over to the side of the road and you had a flat tire. People would pull over and help you. Well, ran out of gas? Yeah, let me give you a ride to town real quick. Yeah, unfortunately, society's changed and there's a lot more danger now, which is unfortunate. Desperation leads to need. Need leads to crime. Once they figure that path out, that, well, me, and I'm no genius by any means, I figured that out long ago. If you can meet people's basic needs, crime rates go down. So, anyway, now I have really gone off the rails on this video. But anyway, please, I welcome your comments. I welcome your ideas. I welcome your discussion. Um, and I wish everyone out there the best. No matter who you are, where you're at, what time you're seeing this, I wish you the best. Just know that I'm sending good energy out to the world. And so anyway, I love you folks. I want this channel to grow. Remember, this is not my channel. This is our channel. It's without you, it's no channel at all. So I'm just here to moderate it. You guys are the one that make the content. So please throw it out there. If you throw a subject out there, the worst I could tell you is no, we're not going to discuss it. But you know what? The chance of that is pretty damn slim. As long as it makes sense. Yeah, okay. Let's discuss it. Why not? And if I don't know something about the subject, I'm going to say, guess what? Somebody sent me, wanted to discuss nuclear physics. I have no idea. You know, I'm not even going to try to explain it. But here's what they suggested we talk about. And like I said, once I figured out the whole chat thing, I'm working on that one. I can interact with chat. I would love to do that. So, I'll put this up. I'm sorry it went long. I just kind of get long-winded when I start talking about things. But open your mind up, free your mind from the limitations placed on you by society. Don't think inside the box. Think outside the box. And honestly, that's probably the best thing you can do. Uh, so, we'll close now. You guys have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you happen to be in the world. And best wishes, and leave your comments. Thank you.